Hey, this lesson is on the CAGED system. The CAGED system is a system of organizing major scales up and down the neck. The guitar, it's primarily used with rock and jazz. In a nutshell, the CAGED system, what it does is it builds a major scale off of each of the plain Jane open chords at the bottom of the neck, the C chord, your G or A chord, your G chord, your E chord, and your D chord. And that is how you get the spelling CAGED. Now what's really cool about this is these major scales are always going to follow the, uh, the, the the word caged. You build a scale off of each of these chords. So, for example, the C shape. In D major. Okay, that's followed by the A shape always. And then after that, you have the G shape, which would be right here. You have the E shape. And it goes, up all the way to CAGED, and then it starts over. So no matter where you are, if you're playing a C, no matter what key you're in, if you're playing a C shape major scale, the next one will be the next one up the neck will be an A, the next one up will be a G, the next one up will be an E, the next one up will be a D, then back up to C again. When you go from a C shape major scale, if you go down, it'll be a D. Now this will make more sense in the future lessons. The primary thing I want to do on this lesson is to teach the first of these, which is the C shape. Now if you look at the documents I've attached, the CAGED system, if we look at figure A first, that's the C chord I'm sure everyone's familiar with. If you notice the white notes that aren't filled in, those are the roots. So let's look at this chord. You have your root, third, fifth, root, third. And we'll get into chordal theory later, but that's your C chord. Now what we're going to do is we're going to build a bar chord off of that. If you look at figure B, we actually have a bar chord. So if we move it right here, the root note, notice on the A string, the root falls on the A, and this is a D at the 5th fret. This is a D, or at the 12th fret, we'd have an A major. So we're just creating a bar chord on that. And so the first thing I want you to do is to get comfortable with that chord. And again, it's just a bar. Your first finger is going to bar these right here, if I didn't explain that clearly enough. Okay, so first real exercise you're going to want to do is play through the circle of fourths and fifths with that chord. And the reason it's important to do this is you're going to memorize the notes on that string. When I first learned the CAGED system, I was mainly did the pentatonic scale and the blues scale, and I hit notes from modes, when I listened to the Allman Brothers and stuff like that, but I didn't really know the notes, and I hit a lot of bad notes at times, and so but this is to teach you the notes of the scale. So the first, if you look at the first exercise, and it would be good to use a metronome. I don't have mine right now. What you want to do is just give each chord 4 beats and run through it. And what I like to do is I like to alter this, or when I was learning this, I would alter it to a major 7th because it sounded a little less like an exercise. And to do that, you just lift the finger up and you don't play the note on the E string. So it would be if you're at the if your root is an E, it would be. Okay, so let's just run through this circle of fourths, which is going to let you learn the flat notes of the string. You have C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, about it, but when you learn the notes, you won't as much. So, you want to get a metronome, and I would give it each chord 4 beats. Keep going on, and you'll learn the notes pretty quick. And then the next one is the circle of fifths. Now this gets you the sharp notes. If you don't understand the sharps and the flats, I would Google that, but anyways, so the circle of fifths, you would have C, you have G, then you have D, then you would have A, then E, then B, then you would have an F sharp, then you have a C sharp, then a G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, and an E sharp, which is a note. So I would practice those two. Okay, so now we're going to look at figure C. Now figure C is the actual major scale. God, I've taken 7 minutes to get to the actual major scale, but before we actually look at that major scale, I'm just going to tell you the formula for the major scale. It's a diatonic scale, and that means that all the intervals of the notes are half steps or whole steps. A whole step is 2 frets, a half step is 1 fret, and it is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So you can play a major note up the one string on your guitar, and it's a really good exercise when you first learn the major scale. I would highly recommend doing that. So you would have half step, so it's simple enough. Okay, so looking at figure C, that is the scale that we are building off of the C major chord. So, if you want to play it at the first fret in open position, it would be. Now, if you notice what I did with the scale is I started on the root note, I went all the way up, then all the way down, then back up to the root. Now, what this does is it reinforces the root note for you. So I would recommend it. There's really 3 ways I want you to practice this scale, and the first will just be play it in D major. It would be on the root, start on the root, which is D. You go all the way at the scale, all the way down, back up to the root. When you're practicing scales, speed is not as important as accuracy. It's very important to be accurate, hit the right notes rather than just trying to play it as fast as you can. Use a metronome and increase your speed. So that's one way to practice it. Now let's see. I didn't print that out. I have an exercise I wrote out that and if you use the program Guitar Pro, I could send you the file. Just send me an email. But there's 2 other ways to practice the scale, and the reason being is it's just going to reinforce the scale. You're going to learn it inside and out. So the first one, what you do is you start on the note and you play 3 notes. Then you go back and play 3 more. Back and 3 more. probably be better if you look at the tab, and I'm going to play it really slow, so try to get the sound in your head. It's notice again, I am going from the root all the way up, all the way down, back up to the root. Now the second one is intervals, and I only tabbed out thirds. At one point in time, I was told to learn intervals up to the fifth, I believe, but you really should try to go past that. If you're new to this, thirds is a great place to start. It'll be good for you for now, but the third would simply be. And I'll try to play fourths. I don't know if I can still do that, but if you can pick up on the fourths, if you're feeling ambitious, it would be something like, let's see. So that would be fourths. You can go up to fifths. More. Okay, so those are all the ways I want you to practice it. Practice it and all the keys. It's important. You can even run through the circle of fifths. Fourths. Okay, you can do that. You want to get to know what key you're playing in. I know we're guitarists and we generally do things by ear, but it's important to know what key you're in, especially if you want to get into more complicated changes and all. But it's always better not to think too much about what you're playing to. But you kind of have to think about it in the practice room, I think, so you can forget it when you're playing. Okay, so the final exercise, or the final figure D that we're going to look at. Now these are just the scale degrees of the scale. And remember how I said it's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Well, those are the intervals of the notes. So you had the first scale degree, whole step, second scale degree, whole step, third scale degree, half step, fourth scale degree, whole step, fifth scale degree, whole step, sixth scale degree, whole step, seventh scale degree, half step, and you're back up at your root and it starts over again. So if you look right here, we have a 3, 4, 5 on the E string, then 6, 7, 1, and because E and E are the same, and you have 3, 4, 5 on each side, you want to know the scale degrees for a few reasons. First of all, if you know the major scale, you know every mode. And I mean, there's modes of the melodic minor and harmonic minor scales, but those are really applicable only to jazz. If you're, one of the many rock guitarists that's doesn't really know much about the modes, if you really just learn the major scale, you'll know all the modes really, and so it's important for knowing the modes. It's also important for especially with jazz changes and all arpeggios. You really want to have whatever side of the brain is scientific. You want to have a good understanding of that with the arpeggios and stuff, which we'll do in a later lesson. But it is always important just to play with sound, and there's a pretty good website, highcountryguitar.com. At least they used to have a lot of backing tracks. I would check that, and if you have a question on what mode would be what, you could shoot me an email. I'll probably get into that later. The important thing right now is just to learn the scale. So that's about it. In the future, I'll go more in depth with the arpeggios, but the main thing is going to be, doing the CAGED system. I think this video pretty much covers everything. The other scales I'll just write out, and time permitting, I'll see what else I post. But I hope this was helpful, and feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions. And I'm also a guitar teacher in the Savannah area, so if you're someone in Savannah and you need a guitar teacher, you can send me an email, and I will give you my employer's website and whatnot. But even if you have a question, just shoot me an email. I'll get back to you. Alright, well, I hope this was helpful.